From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
A Bozeman man is shot. What police say was an attempted homicide. Coming up, how it happened and why police are reassuring the public.
Plus, Republicans in the legislature and the governor's office take another step in their battle with justices on the state Supreme Court over the governor's power to appoint judges.
Well, good Tuesday morning. We've got some clouds outside, but that's all right. It's sunny in here. You're watching Montana This Morning, right, fellas?
Right, it is sunny.
I know you guys can hardly contain your excitement.
It's beautiful outside.
I refer to days like today as refreshing.
Refreshing.
Positive, yeah.
It's brisk.
Invigorating.
AKA, it's cold and you're going to need your coat.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Temperatures this morning into the teens in 16 degrees in West Yellowstone, 12 degrees in Dillon and Butte this morning. Definitely coat weather as you're stepping outside. We do have a mix of clouds and sun in store for today. It is absolutely gorgeous, though. Our temperatures building back near 40 degrees by the afternoon. That's still below average for the afternoon. Same situation in Butte. I think our daytime highs do at least work their way back into the 50s, but not without a chance of snow by the end of the week. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. Well, first here in our 6:30 half hour, the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office is confirming the names of the two suspects found dead after a police pursuit near West Yellowstone last Friday morning.
Gallatin County Sheriff Dan Springer says 22-year-old Henry Porter and 28-year-old Erica Miller of Billings were found dead in a wooded area near Duck Creek, north of West Yellowstone. What deputies say is an apparent homicide-suicide. Now, no further details are being released at this time. This comes after a Billings woman, 64-year-old Roxanne Renee Watson, was found dead in her home last Wednesday. Porter and Miller were suspected of killing Watson in Billings before they fled the scene.
Now, meantime, a Bozeman man is recovering after he was shot near West Babcock Street early Monday morning. In a release, detectives say the shooting happened after midnight in the 1200 block of West Babcock Street. Police say the man went outside the home to smoke when a dark-colored sedan pulled up next to him and someone in the vehicle shot him. He was shot in the leg and transferred to Bozeman Health with non-life-threatening injuries. Police are adamant that this doesn't appear to be random and there is no threat to the general public.
The fact that somebody drove a car past somebody's house and shot at them, that's what we've got here. I don't believe this is a random act. I believe there was some prior contact. We didn't get a whole lot of information from the victim just because of his condition and the hospital needing to treat him. We'll get to the bottom of it.
Now, no arrests have been made from this incident. Police are classifying the incident as an attempted deliberate homicide.
In headlines from the state capitol this morning, Governor Greg Gianforte has signed a pair of laws that affect the voting and voter registration process here in the Treasure State. Critics of the two bills say they are a form of voter suppression that make it needlessly more difficult for people to vote. One of them ends voter registration on Election Day. The other creates stricter ID requirements for voting and registration. Now, Governor Gianforte appeared with the bill's sponsor and Republican Secretary of State Christy Jacobson, who supported both measures. In a statement, Jacobson said the two new laws protect the integrity of elections in Montana. And the bill sponsored by State Senator Mike Cuff of Eureka places some additional restrictions on the type of ID that is needed to register to vote and to vote here in Montana. Now, under the bill by Representative Sharon Grief, Montanans must now register to vote no later than noon on Monday, the day before the election.
Well, Republicans at the Montana legislature continue their quest Monday to investigate the state judiciary for alleged bias on key issues before the courts and had an extraordinary public exchange with all 7 members of the state Supreme Court.
The justices largely rejected a request from GOP legislators to produce documents on the court's internal communications.
But they did appear electronically before a special committee formed by Republicans to investigate the matter. MTN's Mike Dennison has more.
Late last week, Republican leadership issued subpoenas to all 7 justices and the court's administrator, asking them to produce any emails stating a position on bills before the legislature. GOP leaders have insinuated that the justices or other Montana judges may be biased on newly passed laws that may be challenged as unconstitutional. The High Court quashed 6 of those subpoenas on Friday. And on Monday, Supreme Court Justice Jim Rice took his subpoena before a state district judge in Helena, who also quashed it. But all 7 justices did appear Monday via Zoom before a special committee created by Republicans to investigate their allegations. Supreme Court Justice Dirk Sandifer also responded in greater detail on his email practices and said he had not taken positions on any bills. The other justices did not provide any documents, but said they are committed to ruling fairly on any question before them, including whether the subpoenas are legal.
I have not done anything which would cause you concern or to question my impartiality when considering challenges to your legislation. I have not prejudged any of your legislation, am not aware of much of it, and I will decide any constitutional challenges only after I fully am informed by briefing, argument, and research into the law.
Chief Justice Mike McGrath also said while it's unusual that the court must rule on subpoenas directed at its own members, that is the court's job under the Constitution.
But here we are, we're the Supreme Court. That's where this issue is. It's our responsibility to decide this issue. Oftentimes we have to put aside our own personal opinions about various things and make a decision based on the law and the facts of the matter before us.
When Republican State Senator Greg Hertz asked McGrath if that's not like umpiring your own game, McGrath had this to say.
We're not umpiring our game. We're umpiring and trying to decide the basis of a legislative subpoena. It's not personal to any of the parties that brought the case. The question is basically a question of law.
Hertz said later that Monday's meeting was a major step forward in Republicans' efforts, but that they will continue their investigation into potential judicial bias. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Now, Mike tells us Democrats on the Select Committee are denouncing the effort as a partisan attack on the state's independent, nonpartisan judiciary and says it has no place before the legislator. They also say it's an attempt to impunge the judiciary before it rules on many laws that Republicans have passed this session and that Democrats say are clearly unconstitutional.
Well, after a 4-day halt to regular business because a lobbyist tested positive for COVID-19, the Montana legislature will return to its full schedule today. Now, last week, Republican leadership canceled House and Senate floor sessions on Friday and then again on Monday. GOP leaders said they took action to give the legislators contact tracers time to determine how many people had contact with the infected person and to see who should quarantine. Few committees have continued to meet virtually. By the way, a spokesperson for the Republican leadership said less than a dozen lawmakers had close contact with the lobbyist. They have not tested positive, but they are quarantining.
It's estimated millions of COVID patients battling lasting and debilitating health issues months and even 1 year after having coronavirus.
Now, some of these so-called long haulers are reporting relief of their symptoms after receiving the COVID vaccine.
CBS's senior medical correspondent, Dr. Tara Narula, spoke with 2 patients who are feeling better than they say they have in a long time.
Kimberly Wills Rinaldi says she hasn't been the same since she was diagnosed with COVID last March. The 58-year-old long hauler suffered from serious lingering health issues until she received her first COVID vaccine shot last month.
For me, this is a miracle. The viral conjunctivitis, specifically in my right eye, is gone. The rash that was on my back and on my arms and my neck, that's gone. The extreme fatigue episodes, those have gotten better too.
The group's Survivor Corps polled 962 long haulers and found 46% said they remained the same after the vaccine, 14% felt worse, while 39% improved after the shot, from mild to full resolution of symptoms.
It wasn't something I had expected to see.
The poll caught the attention of Akiko Iwasaki, an immunobiologist at Yale School of Medicine. She's launching a study on people with long COVID, collecting blood and saliva samples to compare immune responses before and after long haulers get the vaccine to understand if it really helps. One long COVID theory is that pieces of the virus may hide in the body.
The vaccine induces robust antibody and T cell responses that can clear the viral reservoir or remnants that's causing the inflammation, and that would be a permanent solution to long COVID.
Another theory, long COVID is driven by a hyperactive autoimmune response, and the vaccine may reduce those responses. Judy Dodd suffered dizziness, headaches, and exhaustion for more than a year after she got COVID.
A few weeks after I got the second vaccine, I was like in my living room, like dancing or something. And my partner was like, I don't think I've seen you dance in a year. I forgot what it was like to wake up in the morning and feel good.
Yale hopes to enroll at least 100 people with long COVID in its study to understand these phenomena and to see if the relief will last. Dr. Tara Narula, CBS News, New York.
Exciting stuff. Now, Yale researchers say the findings of their study could help in other diseases that may be triggered by the virus, such as chronic fatigue syndrome.
That is super interesting and a bit unexpected that I don't think people saw that coming. As
Absolutely. I didn't either. When we first, were looking into that story, I did not think that was going to be why. That's very awesome. And
good news for
really
the long
hopeful for a lot of people that we know.
No question.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, coming up here, your overseas travel just got a lot easier to manage. Coming up, learning how the do not travel list is expanding a lot because of new coronavirus outbreaks.
But first, here's Tony DeCopa with a look at what's happening at 7 o'clock on CBS This Morning.
Good morning. Ahead on CBS This Morning, Gail is in Minneapolis where jurors are deliberating the fate of Derek Chauvin. She'll be joined by NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson to talk about what's at stake for the country when the verdict is read. Also, see the police training program some lawmakers want to make mandatory, all in hopes of avoiding more excessive use of force cases. And as we continue to mark Earth Week, we'll introduce you to Forest Green Rovers. They are the world's most eco-friendly sports team. And sometimes they win, too. We'll see at 7.